One of the things that somebody, when I said that I was going to be here with you today, that they asked me to ask about, speaking of the window, is for people who are coming late in the game, people who have 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds, and they either maybe, what I'm hearing from a lot of people, they did a little bit of ABA, they had maybe 8 hours a week when the child was little, but now they're 8, and they're hearing, okay, that really wasn't enough, and their child didn't progress because it wasn't enough. They're all wanting to know what's possible now.
Right, okay. And it's not just, I mean, the first thing I want to say is, you know, everybody, like, I don't, the first feeling that evokes in me, or emotion that it evokes in me, is that I hate that parents blame themselves for looking back and saying, oh, I didn't do enough of that, you know, or whatever. We really need to put guilt aside because we all have too much to do.
Right. Exactly.
So the first thing is, it's not just about how many hours it would have been, it's also about the quality of intervention. Like, you can get, you know, massive amounts of ABA, let's say, that's not really focused to your child or not really appropriate for your child, and there wouldn't be a lot of progress. So, yes, absolutely. Children, adults, everyone continue to benefit from ABA services. There's no question about that. ABA is just a simplification of teaching. It's a process that changes behavior because it's much more simple and easy to administer than normal life, you know, which normal life, of course, teaches us, but in certain circumstances are contradictory. With ABA, all we do is we make sure all the environmental factors go along the path we want so the child learns. You know, that's really all we're doing. But the amount that you can learn has to do with how much time you have and what age you're at. For instance, if you start when you're 5 years old and you have all the time in the world and you're going to get a, let's say, 40, 50-hour program a week, and that is actually, and you're relatively, your skill deficits are not that many. Let's say you have some social deficits and some cognitive and executive functioning deficits, you still have a pretty good chance because we're working on a limited amount of stuff and we still have 2 or 3 years and we have intensive hours.
Right.
But if you're an 8-year-old child and you don't have communication, let's say, you're not vocalizing past 3-word sentences, okay, then I would have to teach you, you know, all the language, speech and language, so that means you're basically functioning at, let's say, a 1-year level. I would have to teach you 7 years worth of everything from language to cognitive, executive functioning, social, play. I mean, think of the development of a 1-2-year-old and an 8-year-old, right? And I'd have to do that in a period of time where every year you're getting older. So I now have to, like, you become 9, I have to also teach you 8 to 9-year-old skills and 10 and so on. We simply don't have enough time to catch up. That's the issue. It's because these things, everything you teach takes some time frame, right? So what happens past the age of, let's say, 8 is we focus on what's the most important stuff. Instead of teaching you everything, we look at, you know, if it's a child or adult who's not communicating, let's go to communication. That's the first. Absolutely. And if it's a nonverbal individual, let's go to the iPads or iconic types of communication. Let's get you communicating, because as soon as we can get you communicating, your frustration will go down, all your behaviors will subside, you'll be able to connect with the world at some level. So that's like the most basic, you know. If I have someone who's at that point, and let's say they're 18, now I've gotten them communicating, we're 18, I need to teach them some safety, I need to teach them some daily living skills, and then I probably need to teach them something vocational. So it's the mix of what you pick has to do with what's the best I can do given the person's functioning right now and their age and their setting.
So to be clear, it just becomes a difference of priorities.
Of focus. Exactly.
But I think what's important for parents to hear is that it's still essential and worthwhile.
Oh my goodness, there's no question.
Yeah.
So we are, let's say at the age of, how many people do you know typically developing, adults, let's say at the age of 85. Okay, this is a good example because my mom is, I think, around in her 80s. 80, or I won't go detail. She won't like it if she watches this. But she's one of the most amazing people I know. She's incredible. And, of course, over the course of the last year or so, she's really picked up the use of social media.
Oh,
right?
Very nice.
I mean, and this started a few years ago where she didn't really even understand computers, and now she's completely into everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Internet, Facebook, you name it. Or, picking up things like a new musical instrument at that age, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You're learning.
Right.
And how are you learning? You're learning by breaking down the task, right?
Yeah.
Let's say an instrument. You break it down. Every step, your teacher tells you what to do. You do what they tell you. The teacher rewards you, adds on another step. That's you're chaining, right? Next step, next step, next step. Yeah. You're chaining and shaping, which is ABA.
Right.
So the question that we can continue to learn, of course we can continue to learn. Same thing with kids, with adults with autism. They will continue to learn, no question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go, oh, well, I missed it. And so they just think, I'm not going to do it at all. But I think it's really important to start wherever you are as quick as you can.
No question. And you can never make a conclusion about the rate of learning of an individual sooner than probably the first 6 to 12 months. Because first 6 months, if someone's doing incredibly well, great, keep going on that path because they'll just skyrocket. You never know, they might reach the age they should. If someone's not, if they're doing just sort of mediocre and you make some changes and then they suddenly start to show a huge rate of acquisition, keep going. Like, I tell people, don't change direction if your child's learning this fast. Why would you?
Right.
And don't start adding other stuff either because we're doing great.
Yeah, exactly.
If we plateau, let's change things.
Exactly. We were almost out of time, but one of the things I want to ask you, if we can get parents past the point of where they're feeling like nobody's there for them, if we can let them know that people are here for them and they want to help their children.
Absolutely.
And we get to that point, what can we as parents do to help you help us? What kinds of things do we need to be doing? Because I see that I made mistakes, and I see that other parents, we don't put ourselves in a position to get the best help that we can get. So what advice would you give us?
Oh my gosh, so many things. First of all, nobody knows the past better than you do as a parent. So write down the experiences you had both emotionally and factually, realistically in your environment at each stage. So like, what are you experiencing both from a personal, emotional, marital perhaps, your other children perhaps, those types of things. The first phase when it's like, okay, there's something wrong. He's not looking at us, he's not talking, that phase to diagnosis. What do you experience at the point of diagnosis? Some parents will have really great people diagnosing, others will have people who at diagnosis will tell you to give up and let go, and that's just crazy as well.
It's way too common.
Right. What do you experience then? Also, just environmentally, like at what point do you start to seek out services and funding, and how do you get all the knowledge? Put all that down, because it's so important that, you look for, there's a terrific number of books out there for sure, but there still isn't really a really good guideline of, here's your steps, and these are the things you're probably experiencing right now, and here are people who can help you. Yeah. That's what I think is just the most helpful, or a website. I mean, we could put together, which I really want to, a website that allows you to chat. We started this, we got involved with this Facebook thing for behavior analysts, and it's like up to, I don't know, 800 people or something in 2 months. It's unbelievable. Amazing. And I know that with parents, it would be probably the same place. If you had a safe place to be able to share, I would love to help make that happen. Yeah. It is so important for us to band together and talk to each other as parents. Absolutely. Because, I think it's wonderful
you know, and anytime I have the opportunity to talk to you or some of the other people here, it's such an exciting thing. But I wouldn't have gotten here had it not been for parents who said, this is where you need to go.
And I am so thankful that you got here, because,
me too.
You know, your work here, not only do I love your little boy, but where you are here, this work is incredible. And I think, and I'm hopeful that we will continue to grow this so that it reaches more and more people. I have it on my computer as I'm working upstairs, even if it's in the afternoon, right? I'm watching the morning show at that point, and I love it because I can't believe the things you come up with. It's amazing, honestly. And it's just like, and there are so many other incredible resources, and that's why I was like, we should talk, because we know so many people, nutritionists, dietitians, and so on, who would love to come and do this with you as well, and just help disseminate that.
Well, I have to tell you, I am a big fan. I would say I'm the largest fan, but I'm sure that there were people who would argue with me, but I'll hotly defend it. I'm the biggest fan. I got my child back because of what you created in this world.
Thank you so much.
There's no thanks that can answer that.